In conversation with Marlene K. Kushner. Marlene K. Kushner, Doctor of Education, a native of Brooklyn, New York, Marlene traveled westward as she completed her education to become a psychologist. She earned a BA cum laude at Hunter College of the City University of New York and was inducted into Psychi, the National Honor Society of Psychology. Following that, she was awarded an MA in clinical psychology from Fairleigh Dickinson University. Marlin became a New Jersey certified school psychologist through a program at Montclair State University and then earned a national certification. During this time, she learned, quite incidentally, that she herself had a number of learning disabilities. She concluded her formal studies at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, receiving a Doctor of Education with a specialization in the neuropsychology of learning disorders. Throughout her studies and career, Marlin has sought to advance the knowledge about and opportunities for individuals who learn differently. She has served as an accommodation specialist in disability centers at a number of colleges and universities. In addition to working with students, she has given presentations to faculties and authored paper for professional as well as for general public. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to have on the show today Marlene K. Kushner. Welcome on the show, Marlene.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm quite intrigued to have you on the show today. I need to mention that you have such a beautiful and amazing bio.
Thank you very much.
You
It was
are
a very long journey.
a very nice one for a CV update, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. So, Marlene, I need to first say that I found the description page of your book, Sense of Direction, to be compelling, absorbing, and intriguing when I read through it on Amazon. And I would like to ask you, how does this book come about? What motivated you to write Sense of Direction?
Well, growing up,
Yeah.
I was puzzled by a number of aspects about myself and my life circumstance. And it
Mm,
would be many, many years before I got an answer to some of those questions. But I
mm,
became a puzzle solver. And the puzzles I was interested in solving had to do with human nature and human interactions.
mm.
So when it was time for me to enroll in college
Yeah.
and had to choose a major, I chose psychology.
Oh, wow.
And at that time that I began my college work, there was a group of youngsters that were described as learning disabled. And these youngsters, for the most part, were average or above average intelligence, but they had very significant problems in reading.
Mm,
And although I did not have any problems in reading, I think I related to them because I also had very wide discrepancies or disparities between my strengths and my weaknesses.
wow.
So I became fascinated by this population, and I decided that when it was time for me to look for a job, I
Mm,
wanted to work with the learning disabled population. And but by the time that I did find a job,
yeah.
we knew that learning disabilities did not that individuals did not outgrow learning disabilities, but they continued on to adulthood. So
Mm,
I sought a position in college disability centers working with the learning disabled population
wow.
and other disabled students. And I had those positions for many, many years, for decades.
Wow.
And that's what prompted me to write the book.
Oh, wow.
Uh, Once I found out, understood more about myself,
Mm,
and saw these students who struggle terribly with internal and external challenges, I decided that I wanted to do everything I can to be as well trained as I could be,
mm,
and to hopefully spread the word about these students to increase their understanding and acceptance of them. And so I thought about how I could best do that. And it occurred to me that the best way would be writing a book. So that's what I did 10 years ago. I started writing sense of direction, rather.
Wow. That's quite compelling, very amazing, and quite great to know. And I love your talk. I love your take on that. Sounds to me like a great introduction into becoming a writer. And I love your description of what you've mentioned so far. Thank you so much for mentioning. Thank you. And I'd also like to ask you, what are current resources for students who have attentional and learning differences disorders? What are some examples you'd like to share with us?
Yes, there are so many
Many.
devices that are there today. Excuse me. I would say that there's assistive technology to help students with virtually every area of academia. I'll give you just a few examples.
Yeah.
The more commonplace devices. There are devices provided by a number of different companies that will convert print or text to audio.
Yeah.
So that students who have difficulty in reading can hear the material.
Wow.
And conversely, and it might be for the same group of students, there's technology that can convert audio to print for students that, for example, have a real problem with note-taking. So those are just a few examples. The software is out there for virtually everything that you can think of to help students. For example, students that need some assistance with organizing their thoughts, their days, their materials, those that have difficulties with memory. I could go on and on. There are so many.
Well, I love your take on that. Sounds to me to be quite amazing, very great, quite captivating, and it's something very important. I mean, it's very great having device that can transmit audio to written text to audio, and in a way that it helps to fit and make everyone inclusive, not to leave some people aside because of the disabilities, and to make them not to have access to education or to certain things because of who they are. It's an amazing one. And one of the importance where we really have to think implementation of technology in our daily life today is really helping a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's made from the time that I was a student, back when I started college in the 60s until today. There's been a tremendous growth and it's ongoing. And of course, as you would imagine, the introduction of AI has really increased what can be available to students. Now, AI also has some downfalls, and there are some concerns with students presenting, for example, assignments that AI has written. So there's a balance with just about everything.
Honestly speaking, that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. It has advantages and also some bad side to it. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you. I want to go a bit down into the subject of themes and subject lines for readers who haven't sense of direction yet, and of course, without giving much information away, do we have a sneak of what you would expect in terms of themes and subject lines of the book?
I would say broadly, there are 3 themes in the book.
Okay.
One is awakening, and that is my awakening to myself personally and myself as a professional. The second theme would be perseverance, because all students have challenges, but my challenges were very great and very many. There were failures and flaws, and I had to keep myself from just giving up. And what enabled me to do that was my dedication, which is the third theme, my dedication to the students, to determine that my goal was always to be a voice to those who were voiceless, those who did not have the opportunities that I had. So I would say those would be the three themes. And the subjects of sense of direction are, well, there are many, but divide them broadly into two areas. The first would be my autobiography. And my autobiography begins actually before my birth, when I was in utero in my mother, and goes all the way up to present day. And the second area, which we've touched upon, are the resources that students can access currently.
Wow. I love your take on these themes, actually. Sounds to me to be quite great, quite wonderful, quite amazing. And I love hearing you talk about it. It's something that is very important, like I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
I can, if this would be helpful, I can tell you more
Please tell me
about the
more.
groups of resources.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. The first resource, literally the first, in terms of students at the college level, would be legislative. There were a number of bills passed that gained as such that students that learn differently were could access higher education. And those bills, I think, came about in large part because of advances in diagnosis and treatment. So once we started to see and understand that students that learn differently were what we used to call back in the 60s college material, once we understood that with accommodations and strategies they could succeed, they started to enter college. And I think just the fact that they began to enter college presented a welcoming to others, an encouragement and courage to make applications. So that would be the first major resource. The second I touched upon, which was technology. And as I've said, there are many, many different aspects of assistive technology. The third are organizations that support various disabled groups. I'll name just a few. There are, again, very, very many, but a few would be the Learning Disabilities Association of America, and it's clear who they represent. Then there is CHADD, CHADD, and that is an organization that serves those that have difficulties with paying attention, concentration, memorization, organization, and so forth. And the last one that I'll mention is a little bit different than the first two, because this particular organization, the National Center for College Students with Disabilities, serves students with all disabilities, and it's a wonderful, wonderful organization. The fourth area that has become much more accessible on college campuses would be coaches. And these coaches assist students in almost every area. They're not tutors. I see coaches as a hybrid between counseling and tutoring. And so they help students not only with areas that apply to directly to academics, but they also help students in terms of their self-concept, their initiation, their self-esteem, and so forth.